Hey guys. All right, so it looks like Darrell Brooks actually is going to give closing arguments. So, because of his constant interruptions and his absolute nonsense that he's always pulling every day in court, they took him into the other courtroom and we're letting him sit. And now that it's going to be his turn to go, they're breaking for a few minutes so that he could switch back into the other courtroom. So, let's see what happens. Let the fireworks begin. This is going to be insane. The prosecution's closing argument literally had me in tears. I mean, when they were describing exactly what happened, what he did, and how he did it, it was just insane. It was absolutely heartbreaking. And one of the things that um, the prosecution said in their closing argument that again their whole closing argument was heart wrenching. That one of the prosecutors was crying. You could hear other people in the courtroom crying. Um, it was horrible. And as she was going by and describing one by one all the people he hit with the SUV and the people he killed and the people he injured and on, when she gets to the end and he mows over the Catholic community, the prosecutor says, and this is like after she said this is like when everybody just lost it. She says, the Catholic community was there because it was a Christmas parade to celebrate the light of Jesus. And this man snuffed that light out. And that was it. Like I said, one of the other prosecutors started crying. You could hear people in the gallery crying. I don't know if some of the jurors were crying. Um, they took video footage of all of the different camera angles of what he did and put a compilation together to show the whole thing. Of course, they didn't broadcast that on here, but they did. They did show it, so we're gonna see what happens. Wait, I'm gonna have to reload this because it looks like it's loading. Come on. They're still waiting for him to get situated. They're on mute. So that's not me. That's them. Uh, I got my volume. I'll turn it all the way up. Whoop. There you go. So again, we're just waiting for him to start his closing arguments. Um, I don't know how long this is going to take, but hopefully, I don't know, man. It's going to be crazy to see what he says. Right before they took this break, the very last thing that he said was, well, Your Honor, the jury can nullify. And she just immediately muted him. The second he mentioned jury nullification, she said, nope, and cut him off right there. She ain't having it. So, again, right now we're just waiting for them to get back into it. I don't know how long this is going to take. He's probably arguing with them right now. Again, this is the live feed. They're muted because we don't know what's going on. But when we come back to live, he's supposed to give his closing argument. We'll see what happens. What's up, Terry? So anyway, the way this case has been going, I wouldn't be surprised if when they come back live, the judge just says he wasn't cooperating. He forfeited his right to a closing argument. But just in case he actually does give one, I wanna have this on here. I want to cover this live because I mean I've been covering this trial the whole time, and this is it. And Terry, I don't know if you heard me talking a minute ago. I was saying when the prosecution gave their closing argument, they literally had people all over the courtroom in tears. Oh, wait, something happened, and then it unhappened. I guess somebody over there hit the wrong button. Well, they didn't show anything bad, so I guess nobody's getting fired today. But probably no. The judge is doing a great job. It was the day before yesterday, really, but especially yesterday, she just was done with his nonsense, wasn't having it, kept him on mute almost the whole day, wasn't even gonna, nope, not even gonna be a thing. Yeah, that was the prosecution's closing was heart wrenching. It was amazing. I think the prosecutor did a great job. Um, if he actually does come back, I don't know what's taking so long, unless, like I said, he's playing his games again right now. What's he going to say? Well, this judge didn't allow me to put her oath of office in. Okay. And this is it's so bizarre that he claims he cannot understand things that are, or comprehend things that are basic logic. Like you don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to have gone to law school to understand that your closing arguments are about convincing the jury that you weren't the guy driving the car, or convincing the jury that the brakes were out and you couldn't stop and you had no choice, or convincing the jury of something like that. Not to say, well, this is an admiralty court, so you guys have to dismiss the case. And jury nullification is when you vote not guilty, even if you think I'm guilty. So you got to nullify yourselves. Like, no. You're supposed to be arguing either that you weren't the driver or that it was just an accident or whatever. But he's not bringing any of that stuff up. And he doesn't understand why it's a problem that he's not bringing any of that stuff up. So again, I decided to go live because he was about to come on and give his closing testimony. Oh, here we go. Let's see what happens here. This is going to be fascinating because this guy is fascinating. They're still muted over there, but I can't wait to hear what this idiot says. Let's take a vote now. I know there's only a couple people in here, but how long, while he's talking, he's got an hour to talk. So while he's talking, how often, vote now, how many times do you think the judge is going to have to shut him down while he's talking because he says something inappropriate? 92 times, 182 times, twice, and then she's just going to kick him out and the case is over? Like, who knows? I say probably at least once every 30 seconds. That's right, Jamie. I'm in the house covering this this live. We're going to see what this moron says for his final. And this is live right now. They're muted, not me. I don't have that. So I don't know what he's going to say, but you think 59 times? Yeah. How many times do you think he's going to be admonished?
The record should reflect that Mr. Brooks is now present in the main courtroom. Prior to reopening following the break, I did invite him back into the courtroom, and he is here. I trust you are ready with your closing argument, sir.
I'm ready to address subject matter jurisdiction as
well.
No!
That request is denied.
Just for the record, I was
an idiot
addressing it for both courtrooms here in courtroom.
Okay.
I think it's 20.
Mr. Brooks, I'm going to bring the jury out. Are you prepared to present your closing argument?
I would like for you to prove subject matter jurisdiction on the record, Your Honor.
She did 42 times.
I'm not addressing that any further than I've addressed already, sir. There's a written decision. I remind you of that.
In that written decision, did I receive, well, actually, I didn't receive anything. Was there copies made?
She gave it to
Mr.
you.
Brooks,
You
I'm
ripped it
ask
up.
you one more time. Are you
Everything they
prepared
gave you threw in the trash.
with your
On
closing
film.
argument? I'm going to have the jury brought out. There's no
I'm
other
in-
legal arguments I
I'm
need to address
informed
from
of-
you at this time.
I'm informed of what you're saying. I was merely asking, was there copies made of you said written decision?
Sir, my written decision has been filed into the record. That is done electronically. You were provided with a written copy previously. Are you asking for another copy of that, sir?
Yeah, because I don't have it.
As a courtesy, I'll have my clerk print off a copy and provide that to you.
Is it proven subject matter jurisdiction?
Your objection to the lack of jurisdiction has been noted repeatedly on the record. It is a meritless argument.
Yep.
I've indicated that in my written decision as to why there is subject matter jurisdiction. And I will continue forward with the final stages of this trial.
It's a criminal case. This is a criminal
which I
court
hope include your closing argument and then the final
In the county.
instructions to the jury.
in which it took
I
place.
would hope it proves subject matter jurisdiction on the record too.
All right, I will instruct the jury.
It's been
to come
proven
out.
on
For
the record 72
the
times.
written decision is once again being provided to
I
the
accept
defendant.
for value and return for value this document as it is not based in lawful law.
What
And
is
it does
lawful
not
law?
prove subject matter jurisdiction whatsoever.
Because you don't accept it?
Refers to some complaint that was filed in the name of a trust, not my name.
Oh, now his name is a trust?
Were you aware of that, Your Honor?
No, because nobody's aware of that because
Mr.
it's
Brooks,
nonsense.
The jury has been asked to be brought out. I mean, I've requested that they be brought out. They're on their way.
Were you aware
Please
of
be
that?
prepared with your closing argument.
Here's
Were
your
you
chance
aware
to
of that,
actually
Your Honor?
do something. She's giving you the opportunity to
Is that a
actually
tacit agreement
do
that you
something
don't have
and
to
make
answer
your
any
argument.
questions as a public servant?
But instead, you're going to spout off sovereign
right.
citizen conspiracy nonsense.
So that is a tacit agreement.
You're a tacit idiot. Oh, this guy's so frustrating. This is what happens when you believe in the
jury
sovereign
left. The jury
citizen
is coming out.
nonsense. I'm going to need to start drinking whiskey after this trial. The judge definitely needs it. This is coffee. The middle one, if you guys missed the prosecution's closing argument, the middle one started crying when they were describing all the horrible things he did and showing the video of it.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
All right, I'm going to shut up for a minute.
Go ahead, sir. You may begin your closing argument.
I'm not ready to begin closing
I
argument.
love your name.
So this is your opportunity to provide your closing argument to the jury. Please start. I've started the timer.
I'm
1 hour.
1 hour.
I'm informed of that, Your Honor, but
Yep.
I'm not ready to proceed as I don't understand the reason why the questions asked before the jury was present were not answered.
She did answer the
There are
questions
issues that
150
needed to be
times.
addressed outside of the jury, as you always say, which I don't understand why the jury deserves.
Mr. Brooks, this is your opportunity to present your closing argument to the jury. Please do so.
I'm informed of that, but the jury needs to understand the truth, their rights, and their duties, as they have not been. informed
That's
of
why
this.
she read the jury instructions to him all day
Brooks, the court
yesterday and
has
this
begun
morning.
The instruction process. I read 73 pages this morning, and into the early afternoon, I have another 30 plus pages to read.
Did you
They
inform
will
the
be
jury?
informed of the law.
Did you inform them that they can
Mr.
nullify
Brooks?
the law?
Mr. Brooks, you do not have that right to request that. And
Were
I'm
they
advising
informed?
you one more time, this is your opportunity to provide your closing argument. Please begin.
I intend to when ready. I just want to know if the jury was informed that they can nullify the law.
Mr.
they are-
Brooks, you
that
have
they
no
have
right
the
to
power.
make that argument to the jury.
It's true. They have the power.
Okay,
All right,
and
I'm
what?
going to excuse the jury.
They should know that they have the power.
Please rise for the jury.
That the jury can nullify the law. I don't even think he knows what jury nullification is. They can nullify the law. Like they could just say, we nullified murder. Now it's legal. Go ahead, home, dude. Go home. Have fun, homie. Drive your SUV into some more people and beat your girlfriend some more. That'll be nice. Because we've nullified the legality of, or the fact that murder is illegal. This guy's, wow.
Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Brooks, you do not have a right to request jury nullification directly from this jury. I direct your attention to the Bajurkas case, BJERKASS. That's
There's your
State
lawful law.
versus 163
Common
Wisconsin
law.
2nd, 549.
But he's
Well,
not
you are
smart
not
enough to understand that.
Incorrect that the jury has the power to nullify. They don't have the right to do so. And no party has the right to instruct or to request an instruction or to argue jury nullification. You may talk in terms of fairness in general terms, but you may not go further. You may not argue that the jury should discard
What's up,
the
Gamer 88?
instructions in the law and find you not guilty for that reason. You may not use the phrase jury nullification. You've done that now at least 3 times in earshot of the jury, twice while you were in the other courtroom. I was able to mute half of what you said the second time, and then of course you raised that once again while in front of the jury just
Here,
now.
send him to Gitmo if he's worried
You
about
also
admiralty law.
indicated you weren't ready to give your closing argument. Sir, the time has come for you to give your closing argument. If you choose not to do so at this time, then you will forfeit your right to present a closing argument by your conduct.
I haven't made any such choice. So you can't.
By not doing it, you're choosing to not do it. It's not coercion.
Waiver when I have not waived the constitutional
So what is she
right.
supposed to do?
I will
Let this
not
trial go
allow
on
you
for
as a
17
public
years
servant
while you
to
sit there
do that.
waiting not to say
I have
anything?
not made a choice.
Sir, the time has come for you to present your closing argument.
Are you making a judicial determination that
Oh.
you're denying me?
He just
a
keeps reading the
constitutional
script.
right in
I have
every
not
day.
made such
on
a
record
determination as of yet, but you can forfeit your constitutional rights
under
by
what lawful
conduct.
law?
What? There's no lawful
Illinois
law. That's
versus
not the
Allen,
thing.
State versus Anthony.
And-
Illinois versus Allen does
He's
not
naming the
reference
things.
anything pertaining to rights when talking about
In
closing
State versus
statements.
Anthony,
Illinois
the Supreme
versus
Court of
Allen.
Wisconsin referenced both that decision when it essentially extended the reasoning or adopted the reasoning of Illinois versus Allen to then find that a defendant could forfeit an important constitutional right by conduct. In State
Yep.
versus Anthony, it was not the right
Boom.
to be present in
There's
the
your
courtroom,
lawful
it was the
law.
right to testify.
Okay, so none
And
of
the
those that you just
reasoning-
named have anything to do with the closing arguments, Your Honor. You've used Illinois versus Allen repeatedly to
It's
when
the
it
right
comes
she
to
has
you
to
being
remove you from the
removed
courtroom.
from the courtroom. Not one time did it bring up anything dealing with a closing statement or a closing argument. So how is that same
It happens in the courtroom
statute being used for
because you're in a
something that
courtroom.
it doesn't even refer to or pertain to?
Mr. Brooks, the Allen decision, Illinois versus Allen, and the Anthony decision, which is State versus Anthony, are two examples of cases where a defendant lost a very important constitutional right because that right was forfeited by the conduct of that particular
And
defendant.
that was to be present in trial, correct?
The right to present a closing argument is no different. Because it is not evidence, it could be said that it doesn't even rank as high as the right to testify, which is guaranteed by the constitutions.
Which I was denied the
I'm
right
not
to.
prepared to
be
make
able
that
testify
You weren't
to.
denied it.
yet today, but I
You
will tell
waived
you this,
it
sir.
by acting like a
The
douche
time has
hammer.
now come for you to present a closing argument. There will be no further delays.
So he
I
should
will
argue.
not be
Right.
taking any further adjournments for you to prepare. You were advised yesterday that this court would proceed today with instructing the jury and with the parties making their closing
And you
arguments.
made that while
It is
violating
up-
my constitutional
Sir,
right.
please don't interrupt me because
Well,
you've now
you did.
interrupted me a couple of times.
No, once. So let's
Twice.
make
Tase
that
him and
correct.
send him back in
Once.
his cell for the rest of his
That's
life.
the third
Done.
time.
Okay, now you can say two.
So, Mr. Brooks, I'm advising you yet again, the
I
time
don't
has now
consent to
come.
being called
That's
that name,
another
Your Honor.
interruption.
Nobody cares.
The time has now come for you to present your closing argument to this jury.
Since they don't have the death
You were
penalty
brought
in
back over
Wisconsin,
to this
they
courtroom
should.
for that purpose.
I'm going to let them
That's
know.
another interruption.
No, I'm going to let them know that they
She-
have rights and they should be told, informed of the truth. It's not me
Are you
trying to
telling
give.
me, sir, that
it's
you
not
are
trying
going
to
to
give
let
The
me ask
truth
you a
hold
question?
on.
whether or
I'm
not
not
you were
trying to
driving the
give
SUV.
Sir,
you
you're
jury
interrupting
instruction.
me and you haven't let me finish. So are you telling me that you are going to disregard my very clear directive to you to not bring up the topic of jury nullification?
That's not what I said.
That's why I'm asking you.
I don't understand that question because that's not what I said.
Sir, you may not
You're.
argue
This
jury
guy is-
nullification
I'm
to
going
this
to
jury.
inform them of the truth.
So you're going
He
to
always
inform
talks like
them
this in
that they have
life.
the
He's not going to last 5
power of
minutes in
jury
prison.
nullification.
Real prison.
They do have the. You just said on the record that they have the power for.
Sir, I direct your
You
attention
just said that.
once
Did you
again.
not just say that, Your Honor?
Yeah, she just said
Sir,
that.
You
You
the
said
can't
I
bring it
can
up.
instruct them.
Right.
The jury
on
has
that.
the power, but not the right to nullify.
Right.
A
You said the
party-
power. You said the
Listen
power.
to me, sir. You're interrupting me once again.
So I'm going to inform them that they have the power.
Are you telling me, sir,
I'm
that
not
you
telling
are
you no
going
such
to
thing. I just
disregard
told you what you just said.
my directive to you to not raise the issue of jury nullification during your closing argument.
That's not what I said. You just read and
That's
said
why
that they
she's
have the power
asking you.
to.
This
That's
guy
what you
is
just said, Your Honor.
Sir, State versus Bjerkas says and stands for the proposition that although the jury has the power of jury nullification,
They have the power.
no party has the right to argue for jury nullification.
I'm not arguing for it, Your Honor. I just want them to be informed. I just want them merely to be informed. That's it.
Call it
Oh,
informing, making them aware.
Yeah, they should be aware
You
of
are
the
not
rights.
allowed to make them aware of their power to nullify. That
How
is
can I
an
not make them-
improper argument.
I'm sorry. Just in case anyone watching right now doesn't understand what the heck they're talking about and the reason why he's absolutely dead wrong. The reason, how could they have the power of nullification but not the right to nullification and to be informed of nullification? Jury nullification is a thing that can happen. Like, it's not that they have the right to say, we're going to do nullification. No, it's a thing that happens during deliberation. If the deliberation process basically falls apart, then that nullifies. Like, they have the power to nullify by what happens during their deliberation. But being told, hey, you guys need to nullify this, that's not how it works. It's a thing that happens during deliberation. It could potentially be nullified. That doesn't mean they have the right to intentionally go out of their way to nullify it. But she can't explain that to him because then she'd be practicing law from the bench, which is what he's baiting her to do because he's a sovereign citizen.
How can I not inform them that they have a power? How
Because
can I
that
not
is not a
inform them
right
of a
that you
power that they
have, sir.
have? I'm not giving a new jury instruction. That's not what I'm arguing.
There is no jury instruction for jury nullification,
Yeah,
sir, because it's not allowed.
I'm not attempting to give them a new jury instruction. I'm merely attempting to inform them of the power that they have.
Mr.
That's not
Brooks,
against the law.
I'm advising you one more time. You may not raise the issue of jury nullification before this jury.
Inform them of the power that they have.
No, you're not.
You are
That's not your
telling me
job.
that
I'm not
you
giving
are
them a jury
insisting
instruction.
on telling them about jury nullification. That's what I hear you saying.
That's not what I said, though. Don't mischaracterize what I'm saying. You just read and said that they have the power. They have the power to do that. So how is
It's an
informing them?
inherent power that they have. They are not to be instructed on it. That is very clear in the law. In addition to, no, let me finish. In addition to the case that I just cited, I'd cite to you from the jury instructions, the law note on jury nullification 705. What that says, sirs, I'm not going to read it all. It's many, many pages. But the bottom line is, it is improper for a court to allow a defendant or a defense attorney to make an argument or make the jury aware that they have the power to nullify a verdict.
And Your Honor, you just added this last night. That's why I had to sit there for an hour in a holding cell and wait for you to change the whole paperwork because I brought that up. So you never intended for this to even be an issue.
Mr. Brooks,
it never was brought up.
If you
but
think
then when I raised the issue, Your Honor, let me
that
finish.
I'm not prepared to deal with an argument on jury
I
nullification,
didn't say that's not what I said. That's not what I said. In all fairness, that's not what I said.
The record should accurately reflect that you were kept in that holding cell.
Why was I kept in there?
So that my clerk could finish
adding a jury instruction that was not there.
76 verdict forms, and it's ×2 because there's a guilty and a not guilty.
Okay.
For each. No, let me finish.
So how did I have? Why did I have to sit here for that? Where I could have just went to my cell and had it delivered.
Because then you'd complain about how you never got
we had
it.
this
Mr.
at the
Brooks.
end of last night before you called recess.
I'm not going to debate
we had a
that
whole
topic with
we
you
had a whole
further.
conversation about
Mr. Brooks,
Case closed.
me
you are
bringing up
Lock
about
'em
the
up.
jury
Throw away the
nullification.
key.
disregarding
Set a cell on
this
fire
court.
with him in it.
you
we go with
can
this.
roll your eyes
Here
at me
because
all you want.
It's ridiculous, Your Honor.
You're ridiculous. You're a
you
child.
just stated that they have the
that yesterday
power
was hiding
to
behind your
nullify.
boxes.
Would you
any
like,
law,
if you would like,
but then
I
I
will
said-
read this to you, sir, the part of the case that's important, but you're not letting me get a word in edgewise. I'm trying my best not to remove you to the other courtroom, but that is oftentimes what I need to do in order for this court to make a full record without you interrupting me. But you need to be fully aware that you may not raise the issue of jury nullification in front of this jury. It is not an allowable argument or an advisement or making them aware. However you want to describe that, sir, whatever verbiage you want to put in front of it, you may not do so. And this court has the power and the authority to limit what you say to this jury, even in a closing argument. And if you're telling me through your conduct, through your words, that you are going to disregard that direction, you will forfeit your right to present a closing argument.
Under what lawful law?
Under State versus Anthony.
That it doesn't refer to that.
State versus Anthony may not have dealt with.
It hasn't dealt with closing
the right
arguments.
to a closing argument, sir, but the reasoning
you just said it right there.
Nonetheless, is fully applicable.
No, you can't change the law, Your Honor. You can't change the law. That's
You're the one
practicing law
trying to
from the
change the
bench.
law.
The general principle.
I know you used to be in legislation, but you can't practice law from the bench.
Sir, I'm
You
not
can't do
practicing
that.
law from the bench.
You are. If you're changing, Your Honor,
I'm not
you're
making-
attempting to make a
This guy is so
separate
stupid.
case pertain to something here that doesn't even pertain to it. It has nothing to do with a closing argument.
When you say what
Nothing
law
that you
for
just
law,
named. Not
Mr.
Illinois
Brooks,
versus
make
I
any
would
Allen.
like to make
and
a
that she
record.
quotes a
Would you
law, and you
please
don't like
show
it.
the courtesy and respect for
I
me
will,
to
Your
do
Honor.
that?
I will.
All right. So looking at the Anthony case, all right, and that case starting at head note 7, paragraph 54 says the following, and you need to let me get all the way through it. We have recognized two distinct ways in which a defendant may give up his rights, waiver and forfeiture. State versus Pino is the first citation that they reference. Waiver is the intentional relinquishment or abandonment of a known right. Multiple citations there. I won't repeat them all. Waiver typically applies to those rights so important to the administration of a fair trial that mere inaction on the part of a litigant is not sufficient to demonstrate that a party intended to forego that right. State versus Soto. Forfeiture, on the other hand, often involves the failure to make the timely assertion of a right. That's a cite to the Dina case and Olano. Rights that are subject to forfeiture are typically those whose relinquishment will not necessarily deprive a party of a fair trial and whose protection is best left to the immediacy of the trial, such as when a party fails to raise an evidentiary objection. However, there is a second aspect of forfeiture, doing something incompatible with the assertion of a right. State versus Vaughn, 2012 Wisconsin Appellate 129, citing Illinois versus Allen, 397 U.S. 337. They went on, the court, that is the Wisconsin Supreme Court in Anthony. As previously noted, we have held that the right to testify is subject to waiver, not forfeiture, insofar as a defendant's inaction in asserting the right is concerned. We now conclude that the right to testify may, in appropriate cases, be subject to forfeiture where conduct incompatible with the assertion of the right is at issue. They go on to discuss Allen, which was not a right to testify, but was a right to be present. And I am utilizing the guidance from Illinois versus Allen and State versus Anthony. It directly guides this court that a defendant may
in that one specific
forfeit
situation only.
A right by conduct by doing something incompatible with the assertion of a right. In this particular case, you are very clearly telling me you are going to disregard what I told you about notifying the jury about nullification. You have absolutely no right to raise that in front of the jury. It is improper. And unless you're willing to tell me you will honor this ruling of mine, then you will forfeit your right to present a closing argument. That is my ruling.
I object to that ruling, Your Honor.
I don't care. First of all, she didn't let him
Object to that
testify in
ruling.
his own defense, and now she's not going to
You
let him
really
give a
do
closing
make
argument.
closing argument, sir, that
She's
does
trying
not
so hard
reference jury
to let him so
nullification.
that he can't
I'm
say it
going
on
to
appeal that she didn't give him a
inform
chance.
the jury of their power. Again, I never stated that I was making a new jury instruction. I never stated anything
What's up,
like that.
Tamara?
And every case law that you just stated made no reference to closing arguments. It was all pertaining
It said
to,
rights. Rights.
being present
Rights. It
for
said
the proceedings
rights.
of trial.
Closing
and
argument
for
is a
testifying.
right.
Sir,
Not
what I'm
one time
telling
did you hold on. I let Your Honor, with all due respect,
You
I'll
have
let
no
make your
respect.
record.
You're so full
I
of
didn't
shit.
interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Not one case law that you just cited made any reference whatsoever to a closing argument. Not one. So how is me merely
They referenced your rights,
informing the
which
jury
includes
of
your
the power and the rights that they have?
That's not a right of it. They don't have that
How
right.
is that a forfeiture of being able to give a closing argument?
What's up, Sean? Tase him.
Well,
Tase
in
him.
addition to the cases I just cited, sir, I'd also point you to State versus Bajirkis, 163 Wisconsin 2nd at
Well, that's a
549.
lot of-
That's a
that's a
Court
lot
of
of
Appeals
cases,
case
Your
from
Honor.
1991.
Well, you keep asking her for lawful
As
law,
the first
so here it
appellate
is.
decision in Wisconsin to consider directly several issues relating to the jury nullification issue. In that particular case, the court very clearly said that the defense counsel in that case was allowed to talk in terms of fairness in general terms, but not to go further, and could not argue that the jury, quote, should disregard the instructions and the law and find her not guilty because it seems fair. That's a description of jury nullification. To use the words jury nullification would run afoul even more.
Yes.
And so I am telling you that given my inherent authority in controlling the mode and order of this court to ensure courtesy, decorum, and civility, and to ensure that this jury is presented with arguments
So what
that
I
are
vote
proper under the
is
law,
that they take him,
I am hereby
put him in the red
telling you
SUV that he
I
smashed
am
all the people with,
creating
chain
a
him
rule
to it, and then dump
for
it in
your
Lake
closing
Michigan.
argument that you may not
No, it'll float.
raise the issue
Put
of
some
jury
weights in it.
nullification in any way.
Your Honor, hold up. Hold up now.
Hold up. You're in court, idiot.
I'm the only one that has to be made rules for closing arguments, but not
They
the
were-
prosecution.
Of
How
course
is
they
that
had rules.
fair?
They
How is that
followed
balanced?
them. They
Mr. Brooks,
followed
I'm
the
squarely
rules.
faced with your defiance regarding the issue of jury nullification
It's
that
not
is
defiance.
requiring
It's not
me
defiance.
to address this issue and to tell you very
Your Honor,
expressly
I
that that is the
vehemently-
rule
I
for
vehemently
your
object to
closing
that.
argument.
Vehemently object to that.
Well, you
Your
vehemently
objection is
stupid.
noted for the record. But
May
my
I ask
rule
for legal
nonetheless
reconsideration of your
stands.
ruling?
No.
That request is denied.
May I respectfully ask for, matter of fact, I reject that ruling and take exception to that ruling.
Well, that's because you're an idiot.
Your
For the record, may I request a legal or factual basis for your ruling?
She just gave it to you.
Not one
She
pertaining
just spent the
to
last 15 minutes giving it to you.
being present in the courtroom or testifying. One that specifically talks about a closing argument.
It says your rights. Your closing argument is a right. It says your rights. Rights.
all of
But
those
of course you don't
requests
understand that.
are noted.
And denied.
I will not reconsider. I
Now
just put my
put him in his
findings
SUV
my
and set it on
reasoning
fire. And
on
then
the
dump it in
record,
the lake.
and I stand by that record.
For the record, may I respectfully request a written judicial finding of facts
No.
and conclusion of law?
Denied.
Thank you.
For the record, may I respectfully move for interlocutory declaratory
No.
appeal on this matter?
I'm not the forum for which an appeal would be sought, sir. I cannot
Well,
answer that.
You referred to it before.
You brought it up.
You would need
So
to
now I'm
direct your
confused.
appeal to
I'm
a,
confused, Your
to a
Honor,
court of
because
You're
appeal,
confused of,
not
of
this court.
no, this
how could this guy,
I'm
how does
supposed
he
to
even
be
know how
in
to
this
breathe?
Admiralty court. because
It's
you
not an
haven't-
admiralty
you
court.
haven't-
You're an idiot.
Is the if we're under Article 3, then we should be in common law court. That hasn't even been addressed. If
She
we're in
just
common
read you
law
a bunch of
court
common
or
laws.
Admiralty court.
How about
That's a
stupidity
baseless
court?
argument, sir. I don't even need
And
to
what law
address
and
it.
fact? Based on what law and fact?
It's meritless.
Based on what law and fact?
There isn't any because it doesn't exist.
Sir, I intend to bring this jury out and give you
I'm
an
informed.
opportunity
I'm informed of that.
to present a closing argument.
Yeah,
If
but
you
you're
violate,
also,
please let me, sir,
listen,
you're
you just
interrupting me
made a
yet
rule.
again.
You just tried to put me under a rule that no one else was put under.
Because
The
they wouldn't even
circumstances
think
require
of
that I
bringing up
implement this
nullification.
rule, sir, given your
The
stubborn
circumstances
defiance
don't,
on
Your
the
Honor.
issue
That's a
of jury
prejudice to my
nullification.
defense. You can't place me under certain
That's
rules
not
and
your
place
defense. Jury
the
nullification is not a
prosecution under the
defense.
same
I wasn't
Sir, the
driving the car.
circumstances
Is a
of
defense.
this
It was an
case and
accident.
your
Is a
insistence on
defense.
arguing jury nullification has resulted
I
in this
haven't-
court creating this
I
rule.
haven't argued it. I said that I wanted to inform the jury of their power. I never once said I'm going to make an argument. I'm going to give them a jury instruction.
You may not
never
advise
said
them
that.
or make them aware in any way that they have the power.
And why not?
jury
Why can't they be
nullification.
informed of their power?
Because
it
if
would
she explained
violate
it to
the
you,
Victor
she would
decision,
be
sir.
Violate what decision?
she'd be
Right, sir,
viol-
I am
she'd
going
be
to bring the jury
practicing law
out.
And
from
I'm
the
going
bench,
to
which you're
inform them
accusing
that
her
they
of
have the
doing.
power.
And if you do that, I will dismiss the jury and I will declare that your right to present a
can't do
closing
that.
argument
Under what
Yes,
has
she
been
can.
forfeited based
Then
upon
I make a
how
oral,
I've outlined that
oral
to
motion
date.
for
I'm
legal
not going to
finding of
declare that
fact.
at this point because I want to see what you will do. But if you raise the issue of jury nullification, I will immediately
It's going to be
dismiss
the
the jury.
first words
You
out of
will
his mouth.
forfeit your right
Watch.
You can't
to
do that.
present a
going
closing
to.
Under what
argument.
lawful law can you?
And then if you continue to
Under
interrupt
what
me,
lawful law?
Every law she
you will
names,
be
you
removed to
reject
the other
anyway.
courtroom as I
So I'm
complete
being
the
held in
instructions.
I hope
contempt
those
again.
people in the gallery
Is
are
it
just
civil or
staring him
criminal?
down, ready to beat his ass.
Go ahead.
The people whose families he ran over.
May I ask the court to consider perhaps an alternative? And I fully respect the ruling the court has just made, and I understand the basis for it. We all know the defendant in his petulance will say jury nullification in the first 3 seconds the jury's in the room.
Bam! Bam!
Proper
I don't
thing
think
to
that
do,
I should
I
be
think,
talked
Your
down
Honor.
Stop
to.
interrupting,
I don't
Attorney
think I
Hopper,
should be
please.
talked down to.
Allow him to make his closing argument. I will object if he misstates the law. You can instruct the jury to disregard any misstatements of the law.
Yes.
We continue in
Let
that
him
fashion
bury
if
himself.
possible
Let him
for
say
a
all this stuff in
reasonable
front of the
amount of time.
jury
And it's
and
become
dig his
to the
own
point
hole.
where there's no reasonable, legal, credible argument that's being made, then the court can decide as to whether or not he's forfeited his right to a closing argument. But we could at least try to, by merely objecting and the court telling the jury to disregard and instructing Mr. Brooks to move on to the next topic, we could try to allow him his opportunity to provide a closing argument. If that's unworkable, then I think this record will be very clear as to the efforts of this court.
Yes.
And I think
Everyone is bending over
there
backwards
is materials in
for
the
him
bench book, or I'm sorry, the
to
jury
protect
instruction
his
705
rights.
that talk about a jury instruction. This court could even give, telling the jury that they are not at liberty to disregard the law, but we're not going that far yet because, frankly, you have told them and you will tell them that closing arguments are not evidence. And I think they will abide by that. So
Yeah,
I know
do it.
it's going to require
Let him stab himself.
effort for the court to allow this to allow Mr. Brooks to try and proceed. But I think we should try that or something similar to that in an effort to get through this next step, or else we will continue at this pace forever.
Yep.
I'm certainly willing to try that.
I love this prosecutor.
It's about all we could come up with, Your Honor.
I mean, I'm certainly willing to try it in this courtroom, and then if he disregards that, to excuse the jury and then have him present from the other courtroom would be the second step, and then third would be a forfeiture.
Your Honor, I object to that.
Who cares? You object to them bending over backwards to make sure your rights aren't violated?
Your
You
objection
reject
is
to them
noted for
giving
the
you
record.
the rope
The
to hang
course of
yourself
action
with?
that this court takes. The first time you violate the rule, you may be subject to forfeiting your right to be present, where you will give the closing argument from the other courtroom. And if you continue in a blatant disregard of the requirement that you not reference in any way jury nullification, I may make that final determination outside the presence of the jury.
I object to that, Your Honor.
I don't care.
All right, with that, let's bring the jury
For the
out.
record, may I respectfully
Everything you
request
say is on the
legal
record.
reconsideration of your ruling?
Nope.
So is that attached to the agreement that you don't have to answer my objection, Your Honor?
Nope. It's not.
I decline to reconsider.
I reject that ruling and take exception to that ruling.
So it's on the record. Good job. You said it. It's on the record.
Noted
Done.
for the record.
For the record, may I request a legal or factual basis for your
No.
ruling, Your Honor?
It's on the record. You just said it.
For the record, may I respectfully request a written judicial finding of facts and conclusion of law on this issue, Your Honor?
Deny.
For the record, may I respectfully move for interlocutory declaratory appeal on this matter?
I'm not the court to address that.
For the record, may I move to stay these proceedings until this instant matter is adjudicated by a court of competent jurisdiction, which this court has no subject matter jurisdiction.
Denied.
It's a criminal
Under-
case in a
The
based
criminal
on what
court
law
in
or
the
fact?
Eyes for
county
the
of
jury, please.
Based on what law and fact?
every law she gives you, you reject. So it doesn't matter. No matter what she says, you're going to reject it. Just like a frauditor.
Jury of their power. They deserve to know.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
Oh boy. Let the fireworks begin.
Go ahead, Mr. Brooks, your closing argument, please.
Good afternoon. It's been a long day.
Thanks to you.
First off, I'd just like to start by letting you guys know that it's a lot of information that you guys should be privy to, I believe. And
Having to
one
do
thing
with you
that I
driving the
believe
car?
that you have not been privy to is
Related
the
to
truth of your rights,
you driving the car?
being the jury. The fact that you and you alone have the power, not well-prepared DAs with well-prepared and clearly rehearsed speeches and exhibits and a lot of theatrics.
Okay, were you driving the
Frankly,
car?
not the judge.
What does this
You
have
and
to do with you
alone
running over people
have
in a
the power.
parade?
You and you alone decide what is truth and what isn't truth.
Right. And the truth is you were driving
You
the
should
car
be informed that
and you murdered a bunch of people.
you have the power to nullify any law that you don't agree with.
Objection, move to strike the statement.
Sustained. I
Objection.
will strike from the record the last statement made by the defendant. The jury will
Which is-
disregard it.
Which is clearly what I've been saying.
What does this have to do with you driving through the
I
parade?
believe that not only is it fair, but it's essential that you be privy to all knowledge, not knowledge that
Yeah, but this is
certain people feel that you should hear and shouldn't hear.
okay. So tell them about whether or not you were
Disguised
driving
under
the car.
color of law.
What about the SUV? What about the parade?
The fact of the matter is, just like I did with my opening statements, I don't have a well-prepared or rehearsed speech.
Well, that's your fault.
I didn't look in the mirror and say certain points to myself over and over again to make sure I have them right or anything like that.
Maybe you
I've
should have.
chosen to speak from the heart
You have no heart.
in my opening statements, and now I'm going to speak from the heart.
Okay, so talk about the parade. I bet you he's not even going to bring up the parade.
What you won't hear me do is argue facts.
Right, because the fact is you did it.
And the reason you won't hear me argue facts
It's because I did it.
is because I believe that it takes away from what should be recognized. The tragedy of this event.
Caused by you.
Recognized.
Right.
Trying to argue facts of this, facts of that. I'm not going to waste your time doing that. It's a little emotional. I apologize for the long pause.
What about the emotions of all the people you killed and put in the hospital? 6 people you killed, 61 people in the hospital. How about their emotions? How about their families' emotions?
It's hard to keep everything together emotionally. And honestly, I don't believe that I have any more tears left. It's been a hard year.
This is your closing statement. You should be coming up with a defense to prove that you weren't driving.
Families, mostly. And that should not be lost on anyone.
It isn't.
It should be taken away.
They were just crying 20 minutes or an hour ago.
Before, and I'll say it again. It's a lot of people that are healing, that are attempting to heal.
Right. And as soon as you get locked up, they'll feel about you much better. Well, he's already locked up, but convicted.
That opens the door to talk about forgiveness for a little bit.
Oh, that's funny.
Healing process, there comes a forgiving process.
Right, but you still have.
It's not an easy thing
to be held accountable for your actions.
What you've been hearing from the prosecution
is proof that you're in it.
Take anywhere
a murderer.
Anything away from them, but let's call it what it is. You've been hearing a lot of rerun. Same things over and over and over. No different than when you turn on the radio and you first hear that song that you don't like when you first hear it, but they play it so much that eventually you start saying it, the words to yourself before you even realize it. And then you sit and you go, I hate that song. Why am I singing it?
This is your defense?
That's what's been happening. Rerun over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
Well, yeah, because you
attempting to make
killed 6 people and hurt 61. They had to go over each individual one. You have 77 counts.
Why do I say
76?
What am I saying?
That you're an idiot.
I say, look at the testimony.
That you did it, yeah.
You know, the thing from the prosecution here has been intent. We all know what's been said. We all know the picture that's been painted.
Right.
Even the prosecution said themselves. How can you look in somebody's head and say, this is what they intended to do?
Well, like the prosecution said, why didn't you stop?
You know,
after you hit the first person?
For a year,
the second, the 6th, the 53rd.
I sat and going through this. Feeling so powerless.
Yeah. I think the people felt powerless while you were running them over.
Sitting back helpless while other people paint a picture that has zero truth. Zero.
Oh, okay. So what's the truth? Tell us. You never
I
offered a
understand
defense, so
about
let's hear
healing
it.
myself, tragedy, pain, all that.
That you caused, right?
A lot of it, there's no need to get into.
Oh man. Sovereign citizens on parade.
I
Dingleberries on
myself in
parade.
my own life have had to do a lot of healing. As a man with children myself,
You should know better. Yep.
I find it hard to believe that anyone who's really had conversations with me, spent time around me,
Know that you're stupid?
would think for 1 second that this is an intentional act.
Especially your girlfriend that you beat up. Yeah. She knows you.
I've never heard of someone intentionally
You couldn't even get your mom to testify in your defense, you idiot.
trying to hurt someone
You've never heard of that? It happens every day.
while attempting to blow their horn.
And what did the prosecution
Well,
say? If you're blowing the
attempting
horn,
to
then you know there's
alert
people in
of
front of
their
you.
presence,
Then and you knew they were there, or you wouldn't have blown your horn,
Which
but you
brings me
still
to-
drove into them.
more information that I believe that you should have been privy to.
Which is what?
And I'm sure that the prosecution will beg to differ. But the fact of the matter is,
He wants to
vehicle
say
in
he did it,
question,
but he can't.
make a model of 2010.
Is your
Ford
mom's
Escape.
car.
The vehicle in question,
You made a music video dancing around it.
actually 2008, 2009, and 2010 of that model was in fact recalled.
Oh,
Objection, misstatement of the facts.
Yep.
not in evidence.
Was in
Improper
fact-
argument, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Was in fact recalled.
and
Was in fact a class action lawsuit against Ford
Objection.
for
facts
those
not in
model
evidence,
for
Your
those
Honor.
model vehicles.
Sustained. The juror will disregard.
no, Liz, he's not blaming the brakes. He's blaming the
You should have
accelerator,
been privy to,
but it should have had no
that you weren't
effect on the
allowed to be
brakes.
privy to. Why? I don't know.
I just explained it, and so did they when it happened. Your car's brakes were
That
not affected.
information,
It's the accelerator that was affected by the
malfunctioning
recall.
throttle bodies.
Throttle,
Brooks,
yep.
move on.
It's information that you should have been privy to. Vehicles that malfunction and accelerate not being able to be stopped.
Objection, that is.
It's information.
completely
It's
inaccurate, Your Honor.
information.
There's an objection. Hold on.
Strike
So when that happens, you steer into a crowd of people.
Statements by.
Sorry
Mr.
for the
Brooks.
interruption.
They are facts not in evidence, Your Honor, and it's a complete misstatement.
Sustained. Strike
How's it a
the-
misstatement when I have the information?
Mr. Brooks, move on.
Do you have evidence that that
This is
affected your
information
specific car?
I feel like you needed to know. You should have known.
They inspected your car, and it wasn't affected by the recall.
Information that was taken away from you.
No, it wasn't, because it had no effect to your
Why?
car. The
Prove the
inspector
case.
proved it.
Information that you definitely should have been privy to.
So you were driving the car, and you did run through the crowd of people, and then try to flee the police after beating up your girlfriend that you've been convicted of statutory rape on. What now? Go ahead,
DA
keep
says-
misstating facts.
The defendant has an utter disregard for human life.
Yes.
Utter
Yes.
disregard for human life.
Well, you don't run over 6 people with your car if you don't have that. You don't
Not realizing
beat up
that
your
they're
girlfriend if you
talking
don't
about-
have that.
Talking about someone that has children.
That you never see or you never talk to.
Talking about someone that watch their children come out of the womb and be born into this world, cut the umbilical cord, held them
Ooh,
before their mom even did it.
what a father you are. You get Dad of the Year award for being there during their birth and then never talking to
Moments
them again.
that I'll never forget.
Yeah, well, you can think about them
Yet
for the
they
rest of your
say
life in prison.
disregard, utter disregard for human life.
Yep, that's you. I thought you were Mr. Hardest. Here's a crowd of people celebrating Christmas, including teenagers and children. Let's run them over.
They made reference to a rage.
Yep. You proved it in court every
As
day.
if they were, or if this particular DA was right there, standing right there. As if this DA is a psychiatrist.
They saw the way you looked at the judge.
I said to myself,
They saw your rage.
Rage? What do you mean rage? How can you characterize that?
By watching the way you behave every day in court.
How can you have the audacity
I can't wait to hear the prosecution's rebuttal.
to diagnose what someone's brain is? Where it's at, what it's thinking.
Delete Laws is
why it
going to
thinks
sue
the
me.
way it does. DA makes references to
Your stupidity?
lots of no one being injured, but then says it's intentional.
You could have turned down the other street.
Add that up with the supposed rage,
Supposed. They have video of you beating up
the
your girl,
supposed
well,
intent
getting into a shove argument
to
with
harm and
her
kill.
friend. Yeah.
And it doesn't kick in until well within blocks.
Yeah. You kept going for blocks, still running into people, making no attempt
Maybe
to stop.
it's just me, but I would think if I was characterizing someone with this intent to kill and in this
Then you wouldn't have
this
went down the
rage
street the
and this
parade was on.
anger.
You would have turned down the other street.
then why weren't people immediately harmed? Why would someone with intent to kill and rage try to alert people of their presence, repeatedly honk their horn? You heard a detective, if you recall, testify that
Negligent
vehicle
homicide.
that
You'll
he
still be found
observed
guilty
was
of
not
that.
only honking his horn, but was not speeding. So where does this rage kick in? Where does this
During your fight with your girlfriend.
insatiable intent to kill kick in?
You display it every day in court. What are you talking about?
They speak as someone who's known someone for years.
Like your girlfriend that testified against you? Or your mom that you couldn't even get to come testify in your
Which
defense?
brings me back to the vehicle. What if the vehicle couldn't stop because of the malfunction?
Objection fact.
You got anything to prove that?
What if the driver of the vehicle was unable to stop the vehicle?
Prove it. Where was the evidence showing that? Where were you with that argument during
Because of
the?
that fact, what if the driver may have panicked? Does that make the driver a crazed, or not crazed, a rage? Does that make the driver in a rage and
No, the fight with your girlfriend made you in
intent
a
on killing
rage.
people? DA played a exhibit 17.
Made everyone cry.
You don't see anyone struck in that vehicle.
Oh, he's talking about
On
the
that
video
exhibit,
before
you
that.
don't see anyone struck.
Yeah, before he started hitting people.
Was someone who had this intent to kill, this rage, as she says. If that was their intent, wouldn't they have taken the opportunity to hit as many people as they could?
Well, how many did you hit?
Target
68?
people, mow down people.
You did. That's exactly what you did. That's exactly what you did. Why wouldn't you hit as many people as you could? Well, you hit 68 people. So how many
Reference was
more
made
do you have to hit before it
this
becomes
vehicle, the damage.
What about the damage to the people you ran over?
Says this was all caused by bodies, but then later turns around and says hits barricades and other objects. I've heard testimony about hearing loud crashes and things of that nature, but
You hit
DA
everything.
wants you to believe that this.
But if you
all
couldn't stop
came
the car,
from
why didn't you steer towards
people.
one of the walls and one of the buildings and the momentum would stop you?
Evidence doesn't support that.
No, your brain doesn't support that.
So I go back to trying to wrap my head around everything that's happened in the last year.
Ooh, Prissy, Texas Tomboy makes a great point. If he couldn't stop it, then how did he stop it
Praying
to
for
hide
those
it in the
families,
driveway?
Praying for the people that tragically lost their life, because that should not be lost either. The fact that there was lives lost.
That you took.
All the emphasis has been put on the alleged defendant.
No, on you. You're not the alleged defendant. You are the
People
defendant.
in disregard.
No, you killed people. That's the whole point.
Makes me wonder, does the DA even care about those people?
Yes, that's why she's trying to lock you up for life. Idiot. Look at her. Look at Oppenheimer. I love her. Opper, whatever. She's got those
Prayers
things
going up
stare.
every day. It's been suffering on both sides.
Yeah, your suffering is equivalent to the suffering of the families and the victims. Yeah.
It's been threats, hate mail.
Yep. Good.
Because of the narratives that's been put out there. The
No, because you ran over people in your car.
misconceptions that have been put out there. The
There are no-
lies.
there
that
are no
have been put
lies.
out there.
You did it.
Lies that have caused my children not to be able to go to school.
That's your
To be
fault.
bullied.
Everything is a result of your actions.
For my mother to have to leave her home and stay at a hotel because she's afraid for her safety.
As a result of your
Because she gets
actions.
hate mail shoved through her mailbox.
As a result of your actions.
My nieces and nephews to fear for their safety.
As a result of your actions. What? Where's the hard ass in the rap video that's going to shoot all the cops and
What's been equally hard
is listening to you for 2
is
weeks?
not only having to answer the questions from my daughter, who was 7 at the time, my baby girl. who was
Oh,
7
like
at the
that boy
time.
Jackson that you ran over and
Now
murdered with
8.
your car? Same age? To answer to her why you killed someone her
Attempting
age?
to answer her questions that she's asking, and still continue to shield her from what she sees, what she hears.
Okay.
Having a newborn son
Mm-hmm. That you're not
that
in
I
his
haven't
life.
even been able to meet.
See?
I haven't been able to hold, touch, kiss.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I feel so sorry for you. But what about all those people who died and their families that'll never be able to hold, touch, and kiss their family members that you
having to
murdered? What about them?
navigate everything that comes with this whole situation.
At least you're still alive. At least your son's still alive.
While still attempting to wrap my head around it.
Prissy, he did have a license. It's in evidence. They showed it.
I can't honestly say how many times I've sat in my cell.
You're going to be
especially
sitting in
during
there a
lights out,
lot longer.
alone, where it's just you.
And they should give you Bubba. You won't be alone no more.
And just been praying and asking myself, how could this happen?
Oh, I know how it happened. You stepped on that gas pedal. That's how.
Not just for the people.
I didn't mean to run them over after I got done beating up my girlfriend. I just wanted to beat up my girlfriend.
But for everybody involved, the community too. How could this happen? How?
Notice how he hasn't said anything to defend himself. He's just trying to work on sympathy. Feel sorry for me. Forget about all the people I murdered. Feel sorry for
Hardest
me.
questions you can ask is those that don't have an answer. No matter how much thinking you do, no matter how much you try to
Yes, Prissy, I agree with you.
look at it from different perspectives and listen to other outside perspectives and listen to people that you trust and that you love, still coming up with nothing.
It's because you got nothing. What's up about last night? This guy's closing argument has nothing to do with him trying to build a defense. Just him trying to
one question I never
get sympathy
had to
from the
ask
jury.
was if this was intentional. That's something that I never asked once.
That's why you have 77 charges, so that if you're found
'Cause
not
I
guilty
know it
on the
was-
intentional ones, you'll still spend the rest of your life in jail due to the unintentional ones. You ain't never getting out, buddy.
As a matter of fact, it never even crossed my mind to even attempt to ask myself that because I know it wasn't.
But it happened. Say it. Say it. Say it. You know you did it. Look at you. You know you did it. Just say it.
And I know sometimes during this trial probably doesn't show. Maybe hard to believe. But trust me when I say no one outside of the families that had to go through this, no one's heart is more in pieces than mine.
Yeah, your heart is way more broken than the people that you murdered's families. Yeah, that's true. I believe that. Oh, wait, you said it might be hard to believe? I think you're right. I don't think there's any possible way the amount of emotional pain you're feeling
Again,
right
I
now
go back to all these exhibits.
could be worse than the emotional pain of the families of the people you murdered, especially that little kid, that little Jackson. I have an 8-year-old son, and so does he. So he should know that he killed an 8-year-old with his
Go
car.
back to everything that's been shown, everything that's been testified to.
Proves that you did it. It should be way easier than this. Did he do it? Yes. Done.
Everything you've heard
Proves that you
during
did
this
it.
whole process, this trial. And again, I say the same thing that I said earlier.
You're an idiot.
Same thing I said in opening statements.
Which is what? What? Go ahead. Say it. Say it.
I'm not reading from any paper, any books.
You probably should be. You probably should read a lot of books.
Everything you've heard in opening statements, everything you're hearing now is from right here.
In that empty
Everything.
black shell. What was it Norm Macdonald said once? You have a God-shaped hole in your heart.
You have the decision.
Oh yeah, they're gonna lock you up and throw away the key.
You and you alone.
I told him what to do.
You have the decision.
Put him in his red SUV, douse the SUV with gasoline, and set it on fire while he's strapped in it, and then dump it in Lake Michigan. Drop it from a helicopter into Lake Michigan.
Taking a lot of notes during this process.
Mm-hmm.
Some days are longer than others.
I'm going to be so happy if deliberation is like 5 minutes and they come back with a guilty.
A lot of movement in and out of the courtroom for various reasons.
On all 76 counts. But do you have a defense that you're going to present at all, or just?
Remember the power that you have.
The power to lock you up for life. That's what the power they have.
Don't for 1 second let it be taken away from you.
Oh, don't worry. They'll use it. Hopefully they'll use it to convict you on all counts.
I can never understand the position of sitting on the jury in something of this magnitude. So I'm sure there's a lot of pressure.
No, they're going to look at the evidence and they're going to say, yeah, he did it.
I pray that the right decision is made.
Prissy, Texas, he did, the judge did say that he can talk about it in a roundabout way, just that he couldn't specifically use those words, which he already did. Gamer 88, like, why are you going to punish Lake Michigan by dropping this guy into it?
It's almost like that message, well, not message, but that writing when we're in our vehicles and we have that rearview mirror and it said things are
closer than they appear. Oh, no, that's your excuse.
Another way of saying sometimes things aren't as they appear.
Oh, he's actually trying to be fancy.
I can't speak for anyone else, but me, myself, I believe in Jesus Christ.
You sure act like it. You think Jesus would approve of you beating your girlfriend?
I believe in.
Act like it. Oh, no, too late.
None of us are perfect.
Most of us don't murder children, though, or teenagers or old ladies with our car.
I try every day to make sure that I acknowledge him.
Well, that's good. You need him.
That's why every time I step in this courtroom,
you need him.
Bible with me everywhere I go. I even read it on breaks, recesses.
You need it.
This is not something that started at the beginning of this incident. This is something that has been instilled in me since I came out of the womb.
Yeah, and you're going to have to spend the rest of your life begging so that when you die.
This is how my family lives their life. This is how we was raised.
But you still think it's okay to beat your girlfriend. Because that's his big thing. I didn't mean to hit those people. It was an accident. Oh, but you did mean to beat up your girlfriend, right? That's okay. Ignore that. They know that you're a good guy and that the whole thing with the parade was just a horrible accident. Because you lost control of the car. But did you lose control of your fist when it was pounding your girlfriend?
Mistakes that I myself have made in my life, I've made peace with.
Or when you had sex with her when she was a teenager and got convicted for it? How about that?
Made peace.
Did you make peace with that? Sure you did.
I'm happy to say that my conscience is clear.
That's horrible. Wow, this guy.
And because I believe, I trust him with my life.
I wonder who's going to play him in the movie.
Nobody will never know why it was his will for this to happen.
You could have turned the wheel. You're saying God took the wheel and steered you into the crowd instead of down the other street where there was nobody?
Changed that day, mine included.
A lot of lives were destroyed that day by you.
God's way is not our own.
Don't blame God for this. You did
How
it.
much sometimes we want to question, we have to have faith.
I hate when they do that. I always try to tell my kids, like, you don't hold on. This is important. I don't know how long he's going to pause, so I'm going to pause. When something bad happens, like him murdering people, you don't blame God and the hand of God for making you do that. The people who survived, thank God that they lived. You don't blame God for you running over them in the first place. That's despicable. Just like running over them wasn't, though, or beating his girlfriend, right? Or being a convicted sex offender. It isn't even about sympathy. It's not like I'm inhuman without a heart. But he said himself, nobody's heart's broken more than mine. How about the people whose kids you killed? You don't think their families' hearts are broken more than yours? Idiot.
Look inside yourself and make the right decision. Look inside your heart.
Oh, no, I can't wait to hear the prosecution's rebuttal to this. I saw Opper taking furious notes. She's very much paying attention. You know what's funny is the prosecution's closing literally made everyone in the courtroom cry, including other members of the prosecution. But during his, he's the only one crying. You could hear the open sobs from the courtroom during the prosecution's closing.
Do what's right.
Oh, they're going to do what's right. They're going to lock you up forever.
Do what's right.
You should have tried that before all this happened. If you weren't beating your girlfriend in the first place, none of this would have happened. How about that?
Don't let the smoke and mirrors take away your power.
You're the one with the smoke and mirrors.
Theatrics.
You're the one with the theatrics.
Take away your power.
The power to lock you up and convict you. You're talking about the power to nullify, but they don't know that because you're not allowed to say that.
Each and every one of you has a decision.
Yep, to lock you up. Or to keep you locked up, anyway. You know, he's in chains right now under the desk. And he's got an electronic, like, taser thing on his ankle, so if he tries to run, they just hit the button, and he goes right down.
Right. Make the right decision.
No, I'm sure they will. They'll convict you on all 76 counts. Maybe they'll drop the one count of there were a couple counts in there that were little nothings that they just, you know, when you want to guarantee someone's going to go to jail for life, Just in case they're found not guilty on 1 or 2 counts, they'll still be found guilty on all the rest. I don't think this guy's ever getting out, no matter what. They can find him not guilty on 50 counts. There'll still be almost 30 left.
It's hard to think about.
Yeah, the judge was having trouble watching it too.
My younger kids getting older, and
at least your kids are still alive.
Everything to them.
Explain to the souls of the dead people that you killed and the dead children that you killed. How about
Kids
that?
don't stay kids forever.
Yes, yours will be able to grow up because nobody ran over them in their car.
And nowadays, kids is frankly a lot smarter than we were when we was kids.
Dude, my kids are smarter than you are now, and you're 40. One of the sheriffs should accidentally hit the button on the shot cuffs. That'd be great.
I got a letter the other day.
Uh-oh. I hope this isn't the letter he tried to put into evidence.
Daughter,
Oh, no, okay.
and she's still learning cursive right now, so she's the best writer when it comes to cursive. She'd rather print.
And she's still alive.
She said, Dad,
Why did you murder all those people?
and this is from the letter. She said, Dad, why are people saying all these mean things about you?
Because you killed a bunch of people and put a bunch of people in the hospital and beat up your baby mama. Well, because I beat up your mom and then drove through a crowd. Is that what you told her? Because I beat up your mom and then drove through a crowd?
Letter yet. The rest of that sentence said,
What?
that's not the dad I know.
Yeah, you don't know him because he never sees you. Because he's not involved in your life. He's too busy hooking up and stopping in Wisconsin every once in a while for a piece from your mom.
Throughout this year, I've been called a lot of things.
Well, you are a lot of things. A dummy, an idiot, a sovereign citizen.
I am a lot of things.
Yeah. Scumbag. Even before you drove the truck. A what? A murder is not one of them? Oh.
Never has been, never will be.
Except for the 6 people you murdered, but that's beside the point. If this situation wasn't so sad, I have so many ideas for t-shirts. Like a picture of coffee grounds, objection grounds. And what was the one today? I wanted to make a shirt of a picture of him and it says, I don't consent to estoppel, because she stopped the court. I don't consent to estoppel of these proceedings. Estoppel.
Before I close my statements,
I just want to say, please don't kill me. Please don't. I just pictured John Belushi. Please don't kill us. Please don't kill us. Please. There's this flood. Locusts. I ran out of gas.
I just want to say, open your hearts.
And then kisses her, drops her in the mud.
Go inside yourself when making this decision.
And find all the souls of all the dead people that you killed inside of you. Yeah. Feel for them and their families. Your family's still alive, buddy. You want us to feel sorry for you have kids? Your kids are still alive. The people who you killed, their parents, they're never going to see them again. You might have to look at your kids through glass, but at least you can look at them. You might get letters from your kids, but at least they can write you letters because they're still alive.
Pray and do what you know is right.
Oh, they will. They'll pray for the souls of all the people you killed. Because you're still alive. And your family's still alive. You're fine. You get to live the rest of your life watching cable TV with all the channels inside your comfy little cell. You may even get a boyfriend or two.
Think about everything you've heard. Think about everything you haven't been privileged to hear.
How do they know what they're not privileged to?
Think about the whole entire picture.
Oh, they tried that earlier. They started crying because of all the people that you hurt and murdered and put in the hospital and kept going and going and going. I almost want to go back and replay the prosecution's closing for you guys if you didn't see it. It's heart-wrenching.
Everything.
He's trying to be heart-wrenching, but the prosecution actually was. He's not.
Whatever you decide, make sure you yourself can live with it.
Oh, they can. It's if they don't put you in jail that they'll have trouble living with it.
Make sure you can live with it. That's the magnitude of the power that you have.
If you let him go, that's when you'd have a trouble living with it. Is his hour up yet? Yeah, right. So it feels like he's been talking for 6 hours.
Just like this tissue is in my hand. This is everything. You have everything.
That's a good analogy.
Be at peace with what you decide.
Oh, they will if they put you in jail. I guarantee they will feel no shame.
Have no regrets.
Oh, they won't. If they convict you, they will not. If they don't convict you, maybe they might second guess themselves.
Don't let this decision weigh on you after it's over.
Again, if they convict you, it won't.
Hopefully we got a long lot of living ahead of us. Lord willing.
I want to address this real quick. Hold on. I'm going to pause this for a second. Tamara Marie says, the restraint of the victims' families is amazing. Well, here's the thing. It probably won't be today because they're going to wrap it up pretty much after this. But the judge is going to give the families of the victims a chance to speak their piece. That's going to be insane.
Don't look back and kick yourself in the behind.
They won't. Unless they let you go. Maybe they will then.
It's been about 3 weeks with you.
Listening to you complain about nonsense and sovereign citizen conspiracy theories.
Took a lot of courage and a lot of guts to pause your life for this. To put important things on hold, to basically stop your life. You should be commended for being able to sit up here with this amount of pressure.
Then listen to you ramble on about nonsense for 12 hours a day.
I want you guys to know that's not lost on me. I'm sure it's a lot.
Oh, yeah. But you made it even more.
You all should be commended because it took courage to do this.
He's kissing their ass to try and get them. First he fed on their sympathy, now he's kissing their ass.
Be sitting in your position right now.
Let me go. I'm a nice guy. I'm complimenting you.
And you guys had the guts to do it.
The way he treats and talks to his girlfriend proves that he's a control freak and a narcissist, and this is all part of his game.
Thank you for that. Thank you for taking pretty much a month and setting it to the side for this.
Wow. He's so transparent. He almost was starting to get a teeny tiny,
probably not proper,
itty little bit of sympathy from me.
Round of applause if you could.
But now that he's turning around and kissing their ass, come on, brah. Come on, brah.
Thank you guys sincerely, and I know, and I have faith, and I trust that
you'll be locked up for the rest of your life.
You guys know what's right.
Oh yeah, they do. Unless you get acquitted.
I don't think it's fair to just say guys, but
at least he's acting like a person.
I believe in your heart, you know what's right.
Like a person.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now shut the hell up and let's hear what the prosecution has to say in rebuttal.
Thank you, sir. Before I give the state an opportunity to present rebuttal, please stand for a minute. So please stand.
Right. Hopper's great. Like I said, she had everyone crying earlier, so hopefully her rebuttal to this is going to be great.
To the extent that your vehicle heaves up and down. Your intent is known, Mr. Brooks. It doesn't have to be guessed. It's known. You don't have to stand and wonder as he claims to. For him to keep going after he drove over those children in the band and have Jackson Sparks fly off the front hood of his car, lifeless, and keep going. And have Jane Kulik fly off the hood of his car, run her over, and keep going. I'm not going to go on. You get it. You need to look in the mirror, Mr. Brooks. If you want to accuse me of practicing my closing argument, you need to look in the mirror, sir. Your actions are that of a murderer. You murdered these 6 people. You endangered the safety of 61 others. There are 68 victims in this case, folks. That's not an accident. That's not a, gee, I woke up one day and don't know how I found myself in this position. If you have some explaining to do to your children, Mr. Brooks, I recommend you do it.
Wow.
Now, members of the jury, the duties of the parties and the court have been performed. The case has been argued by the parties. The court has instructed you regarding the rules of law which should govern you in your deliberations. The time has now come when the great burden of reaching a just, fair, and conscientious decision of this case is to be thrown wholly upon you, the jurors, selected for this important duty. You will not be swayed by sympathy, prejudice, or passion. You will be very careful and deliberate in weighing the evidence. I charge you to keep your duty steadfastly in mind and as upright citizens to render a just and true verdict. You are to decide only whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty of the offenses charged. Any consequences of your verdict are matters for the court alone to decide and must not affect your deliberations. The following 76 forms of verdict will be submitted to you concerning the charges against the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks. Count one. One reading, we, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, not guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count one of.
Okay, so now she's going over the last of the jury instructions. So everything's done. That's it. It's over. They did the testimony, or at least they tried to. He refused to testify. That's his own fault. And yeah, now she's got to read all 76 counts. So we're probably still going to be here for a while, or they're probably still going to be here for a while. I just wanted to while he was giving his closing, I wanted to cover it. Hour and 35 minutes it was. She said there was an hour time limit. She gave him an hour 35. Once again, and this is the thing that I love about this judge and have from day one, any of the complaints about her have been that she's given him too much leeway. But again, he made it clear, even during the pretrial hearings, that he planned on filing appeals on everything. So everything that she did was to bend over backwards to make sure that nothing would come up on appeal. She crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and made sure everything, even this morning when she was doing the jury thing. And of course, he complained about her making changes, but she was making changes like there's an A instead of an ah. I mean, like going out of her way to make sure everything is precisely perfect. Nothing. He's got nothing. If he's found not guilty, again, he's got 76 charges. So it's possible he might be found not guilty on many of them, but still end up spending the rest of his life in prison. So we're going to see what happens. Obviously, we're going to keep talking about this when the sentencing, and then when we still got a lot to go. There's, the rest of the jury instructions. There's the deliberation, giving the families of the victims a chance to speak. All of that's going to happen still. And then finally the sentencing. And then he's going to, do I got any mods in here? Get rid of that stupid bot. Ugh. Anyway, that's going to be that for now. I'm going to go ahead and log out. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning as always. But yeah, I was sitting here watching this anyway. So I'm like, well, I might as well, watch it with you guys because it's more fun than watching it alone. So I'll see you guys in the morning. Love you all. Thank you all for joining me. And hopefully they'll lock this guy up and throw away the key or set his cell on fire or something. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Take it easy, y'all. Peace.